All right. Hello again, adventures, and welcome. Another exciting daily vlog. This is Daily Vlog 2025, number 231. And I did a drink. All right, so today, we got new gameplay footage of Hollow Knight Silksong. For anyone that doesn't know, there's a game came out a while ago called Hollow Knight. It is a phenomenal 2D Metroidvania. In addition to it just being a great game, I think probably the greatest aspect of Hollow Knight is the atmosphere it creates. Like, the music, the sound design, the artwork, everything just creates this amazingly kind of lonely feeling. Like the feeling you might get if you walked into like a cave structure by yourself. And so as you kind of go into a larger cave opening, kind of look around and you can see just this kind of majesty before you, but at the exact same time, you are 100% alone. You just realize how small you are compared to the wonders around you. And that's Hollow Knight. It's brilliant. I have yet to beat the damn game because it is remarkably tricky. But it's a phenomenally good game. Silksong is the sequel to it that actually follows one of the characters that you meet in Hollow Knight that I won't go into any more details for due to spoilers. And it was announced like 8 years ago, and at the Switch 2 Direct, they announced that it was coming out this year, but they didn't give a date. So we got some new gameplay footage at Gamescom, and apparently I think tomorrow or the day after, I think it's Thursday, they're going to have an actual presentation for Silksong, which we might get a release date. Who knows? But it reminded me of an event from my past. And I thought you guys might be interested in hearing it. So, a long time ago in the before times, before the Kobol incident and all that stuff, when live plays were really kicking off, I cannot remember which Twitch channel it was or which company was doing this. It might have been Encounter Roleplay. I can't remember. But one of the things, or I might be able to figure it out because I think I still might have it bookmarked. I have so many bookmarks I just need to get rid of because they're worthless. Yeah, I think I deleted that one. Just really quickly making sure I'm not missing it. Yep, I must have deleted it. So, again, I have no idea which company it was, but it was one of the bigger ones. And one of the things that they would do is they had a form where you could submit a TTRPG miniseries idea. You were allowed to use, as far as I could tell, you were allowed to use any system that you wanted. And if memory serves me, it had to be over in 6 to 8 weeks. And you had to do it, I believe you had to do it live at that point. So you basically had 6 to 8 sessions that you would do live, and it would be broadcast on their Twitch channel. And you basically had to pitch an idea. And so, Megan, this is still a TTRPG that one day I want to run. But it has taken a back seat for a while. But it was heavily inspired by kind of the ambiance of Hollow Knight combined with a little bit of Legend of Grimrock. So let me tell you my pitch to this company. If anyone can remember, because again, they used to advertise it on Twitter and everything. If anyone can remember what company it was that used to do this, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know if they're still doing this, because again, I haven't seen anything like this since. So anyway, the pitch was the party would consist of a bunch of adventurers that had no memory. The only thing that they knew is that they'd been convicted of a crime and sentenced to live out the rest of their life in this penal colony that was basically made inside of a mountain. And they get dropped off at the top of the mountain. You may start seeing the influence of Legend of Grimrock. But part of their punishment is they have all of their memories completely wiped. And so when they arrive on the first level of this penal colony, they know nothing and they are trapped in complete darkness. And as the adventure would go, instead of like me revealing their backstories or the players themselves revealing their backstories slowly but surely, what would happen? They would when I was doing the pitch, I pitched it as an open legend game, simply because that allowed me the most freedom to do whatever I wanted with it, and that was the system I was most familiar with at the time, other than D&D. Now, to be perfectly honest, I could do this with any system. But what they would do is they would build a character basically from a mechanical standpoint. Basically the opposite of what most people tell you to do in a TTRPG. Now it's like, no, there has to be a reason why. Nope. These would be characters that, because the players themselves will have no memories, or the characters themselves will have no memories of their former lives, they have nothing to base their abilities off of. So it would be purely mechanical. Okay, my character can do this, and they can do this, and this, and this, and that's all the players would be allowed to create. And as we played, the audience could use channel points or some other thing to suggest themes or aspects of memories. And once we got enough of them, I would pick from a pool of those suggestions, very kind of Whose Line Is It Anyway? I would pick from a pool of those suggestions, and we would have a flashback for one of the characters where I would have to incorporate those different themes and characters and the things like that. And effectively, during these flashbacks, we would write the stories, the backstories of these characters live. And I believe the title I gave it was something like Descent into Memories or something like that. Because as they went deeper and deeper and deeper into this mountain, hopefully getting to a point where they can either be safe, or if we want to go the full Legend of Grimrock trope, if they can get to the bottom, they are their crimes are annulled and they get to go free. So yeah, the whole thing would be, it would be a completely underground, basically dungeon crawl. But unlike, your classic dungeon crawl where when you're done, you go back to your home base, there would be no home base. The upper levels are very heavily populated by criminals that are looking for easy marks and things like that. But the lower you go, the less criminals you have to deal with and the more natural denizens of the mountain you have to deal with, in addition to the fact that the truly powerful criminals would get further and further down with the hopes of eventually being able to get out. So when you did find criminals on lower levels, they were not, minor inconveniences. These were extremely powerful characters that might try to kill you to make themselves stronger. They might try to ally with you. There, a lot of different things could happen. But everyone in this mountain was a criminal that when they got there had absolutely no memory of their crimes. And the further down they went, they would gain more memories of their previous life. They would start learning what their crimes were through flashbacks and things like that. So like I said, the whole ambience of like Hollow Knight is all about kind of exploring this kind of broken world under ground. And there's kind of a forgotten kingdom down there. Well, kind of the same thing would happen with this, where the further they went, they would discover, why is this a penal colony? What caused it? What used to be here? Where did all these tunnels and things like that come from? Because it is a massive complex that has been carved out of this mountain. Someone had to do it. And so they would slowly learn more about the penal colony, slowly learn more about themselves, slowly become more powerful. And by the time they got to the end of it, they would kind of be able to make the decision of, okay, well, does this character deserve to leave here? Or should they just go back and continue, basically self-exile themselves because of the crime that they either committed to get put in there or the crimes that they committed as they were going down? Because again, when you're just surrounded by criminals and resources are extremely limited, sometimes you do stuff that you might not be proud of. So yeah, I still one day want to run that campaign, because I think it would be immensely fun, and especially if I could run it in a system like maybe Daggerheart, or I'm starting to think Draw Steel would be another one. Just something where combat tends to be kind of quick compared to something like D&D or Pathfinder or any of those, where combat is like a single combat encounter will take a minimum of an hour. And really complex combat encounters might take 2 or 3. I would want something that would allow them a lot of exploration abilities, which, again, I don't think Daggerheart... I like the experience system in Daggerheart. It's perfectly fine. It's not fantastic for a dungeon crawl style adventure. Again, I did it with the Village of Hamlet, but it wasn't perfectly made out for that. Whereas Draw Steel, just due to the fact that, again, it has a shit ton of skills, which, again, I'm not particularly fond of, but it does lend itself well to doing something like that. So, yeah. And again, it would be something that the audience would be kind of hyper involved in, because they would be suggesting some of the aspects of the backstories, and then it would be up to the player and I to kind of figure out how. Because it wouldn't be like the suggestions would just be like, describe a single character. It wouldn't be, okay, what did this person do? Well, they committed murder or something like that. No, we still want the players to have more control over it. But you could go, describe a location that something important happened. Describe a character that is important to one of the players, whether they're someone they're fond of, whether they're someone they hate. stuff like that, or describe an item that relates to a character's backstory or crime or something like that. And then once I had a nice little pool, I'd go, okay, I'll take this character, this location, and this item, and then we put them together. And then the player and I would basically, like, it would probably start with, okay, I described the location. Okay, what are you doing in this location right now? Like, what are you actively doing? And the player would have to come up with something, and then I'd introduce this, or I'd introduce the item or something like that, and we kind of create a little scene. Like I said, I thought it was a really, really cool idea. It did not get picked up. Shocker. And I was never contacted by them. Yeah, I thought it was super, super cool. Like I said, one day I plan on running that campaign. I even had an area in my homebrew D&D campaign setting that I could set that particular adventure in, if I wanted to do it as one of my D&D campaigns. And when I for Traversing the Veil, when I originally pitched the campaign, I basically told the players, okay, here are 3 kind of campaign ideas that we can go with. Which one do you guys like the most? I had one that was set in the upper north of my campaign setting that was all around religion and rogue cults and things like that. I had one set in an area that's just called the Darklands, and that one was going to be about living in a village that was the last place where humanoids could survive, because the rest of the area that they live in had been overtaken by these extremely deadly plant life and biological life that had just spread like a plague all over the country. And then the third one was Firefly meets Eberron, where they're in the elemental plane of air on an airship that just goes around doing stuff. And that's the one that they chose. But yeah, like I said, the thing with Silksong and everything just got me thinking about this thing, and just, again, how cool an idea would that be? Back when Hyper RPG used to be Hyper RPG and not just Hyper, one of the things that kind of they sold the intent of the channel was on kind of interconnectivity with the audience. They used bit donations for the interconnectivity, which is one of my few critiques of Hyper RPG, is they basically put microtransactions into tabletop RPGs. But this was pre-channel points and stuff like that, and it was something that was very, very easy to track, and they could build chatbots and stuff like that would allow them to track who's donating what and what they were donating it for, because that stuff already existed. But yeah, like their Star Wars TTRPG that they ran, I think it was called Pencils and Parsecs, I might be wrong. You could donate bits to influence the light or the dark side, and when it got too far to the dark side, something bad would happen, and we got too far to the light side, something good would happen. And you could give donations for like power-ups for the players and stuff like that. It heavily inspired what I did with Realms of the Wild and now Tears of the Realms. The one caveat I had is that we don't use bit donations, because none of my players get paid and neither do I. So I'm like, I'm not going to ask the audience to pay to give us money just so that we can't get paid. So we use entirely channel points, and it works really well. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun doing it. But that like I said, I think it's a cool idea. Interested to hear from you guys. First of all, what do you think of the campaign idea? And second of all, like I said, if anyone remembers who it was, like I said, I want to say it was Encounter Roleplay, but I can't 100% be certain. If anyone remembers who it was that used to actually ask people to submit ideas for games that would run on their channel, let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, again, it's all for me today. I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.